Black Clover in a nutshell. Yeah, actually, that about sums it up for me. I really don't have to make a video anymore. But no, in all seriousness, we do have to go over some of the adventures that this absolute child, totally not a demon, actually did have over the series. But before we do that, I actually have to say thank you for the idea from Zuffy, because he's the one that came up with the in a nutshell idea that I'm actually using for this video topic. So with that being said, thank you to him. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. Make sure to go check out his videos over on his channel. And without further ado, let's get started. Asta grew up in the village of Haj with his brother Yuno, who possessed great magical affinities, which Asta just, to put simply, did not. Until one day, Yuno had pretty much no respect for Asta, until Asta ended up actually saving him and his necklace that he had, which, spoiler alert, was from the fact that he was the Spade Kingdom's prince. So because of this fact that he, saved Yuno and him gained a much deeper rivalry. And they started training even harder. Day in and day out, Asta trained his physical body to be to the point where he doesn't even need any magical powers. And that leads us to the beginning of the actual series, where Asta goes to the Grimoire Acceptance Ceremony. Asta does not get a grimoire at all because of the fact that he doesn't have any magic. However, Yuno, on the other hand, Asta's rival, gets the 4-leaf clover grimoire, which, is kind of like the best one it is, that's debatable, but we're not really getting into that right now. So, Asta does not get his grimoire. However, the next day, Yuno gets attacked by a rogue mage, and he was easily bested even with his new grimoire, and Asta comes in. Asta gets easily bested as well. However, when Yuno gives him some encouraging words, Asta seems to awaken demonic power as a 5-leaf clover grimoire appears in front of him, and he pulls out a massive sword from it, which, as we all know, is anti-magic. Asta easily dismantles the chain mage. After Asta's new show of power, they decide to head to the royal capital in order to take part in the Magic Knight selection. So after arriving at the capital, after a series of adventures, camping, and, dining on the various beasts around the area, they eventually do arrive at the capital to take part in the selection. Once arriving there, Asta is greeted by a rather grim-looking older man that we know as Yami, and surprised by Asta's physical strength, he kind of moves on, but we'll be seeing a lot more of him later on. So, taking part in this exam, Asta cannot really do anything. He has no magic, so he can't really take part in most of the actual competitions and everything like that. It is only until the final part, the battle, whatever you want to call that, where Asta gets to show his true prowess with his sword, which he easily dismantles his opponent, but still, because of the fact that Asta has this mysterious power along with the fact that he doesn't really seem to have any magic, they're not even sure how he beat him, no Magic Knight captains raise their hands in order to recruit him, except for one. Yami jumps down from the stands and begins talking to Asta and asking what his dreams and aspirations are. Asta brazenly declares that he is going to become the Wizard King, and Yami decides to allow him onto his squad, making Asta a Magic Knight. So, with this actually happening, Yuno gets put into the Golden Dawn, which is the best Magic Knight squad there is at the current moment. Asta is sent on his first mission as a new Magic Knight. This mission is pretty simple, at least at, face value. It's to defeat a bunch of magical beasts outside of basically, a way to put it would be an orphanage village, because that's basically the only thing in it. So after arriving at this village, Asta and the rest of his squad mates, Noel and Magna, quickly defeat the rest of the beasts. However, they notice something. The village is covered in a thick fog, however, it is not natural. it was made of mana. They quickly enter the village using Asta's sword to destroy all of the mana, fog stuff, whatever it is, and quickly make their way to the center of town, where they find an ice mage followed by many of his subordinates. With this actually happening, they use a show of teamwork, or Asta and Magna do, and Noelle actually does unlock some magic, but at this point she's not really, good at really anything yet. Seemed right, come on, let's be honest here. So Asta and Magna manage to defeat the Ice Mage, but before they can actually get any information about why they were doing this and what they were doing in the first place, they kill themselves. Asta is deeply frightened by this because, who the fuck wouldn't be? That's kind of like, holy shit, man. But that's what happens on their first village, and they retreat back to the hideout after this bird that has been following around Asta brings him a stone, which will be a much more significant value later on. After a few days of chilling around in the hideout, their next mission comes around fairly quickly. This mission is to recover any magic artifacts and magic items inside of a dungeon. So Noelle, Asta, and Luck all head over there. We have been introduced to Noelle already because she was in the last mission. However, Luck is a new character who is basically the electric boy, as a way to put it. He loves fighting. He's basically Goku, but with electric powers. So with that being said and out of the way, they enter the dungeon and Luck immediately leaves. Asta and Noelle keep going through, and they keep getting caught by different traps until one eventually overcomes Asta and Yuno ends up having to save him. So with this actually happening, they eventually make it to where the giant door is, and they find Yuno fighting some member from the Diamond Kingdom. So with their fight actually happening, Asta joins in, and they seemingly are able to defeat him. However, once they open the dungeon doors and actually enter into the dungeon, Yuno ends up finding something quite interesting. It is actually the spirit of wind. Quite interesting indeed. Asta doesn't find anything yet. However, that diamond mage actually reawakens and starts fighting him once again. This time Asta is not able to counteract him because of how fast his movements are, and he gets sent flying through a wall. However, the little anti-bird actually ends up leading him through a certain hallway where he finds a sword that is much bigger than the one which is much smaller and lighter than the one he actually had, which allows him to actually hit the Diamond King's attacks fast enough in order not get hit, and actually ends up defeating him after finding out that he can absorb magic into his sword, which he can't really use till way later on, but whatever, who cares about that? Who cares about that part? So anyway, after recovering any artifacts and one magic stone within the dungeon, they leave and return back to the Wizard King to report to exactly what happened. However, that is where I am going to leave this part off. Yes, this is going to be a 2 or 3 part series, with this being part 1. So stop in next week to check it out again, and make sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this content. Please do it. It is completely free. You can always unsubscribe at any point with absolutely no hassle whatsoever. Just click that red button. Turn on the bell notification button too. Why not? Come on, do it. But anyway, that being said, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.